Okay, welcome to Ottawa. I'm currently in Ottawa and within sight of the Parliament buildings and overlooking the traditional Algonquin lands in the middle of the Ottawa River. And there's an island right in the middle that's used for spiritual purposes by the Algonquin nations right now. So I'm here to talk today about a program which we've started at Glencairn United Church in Kanata. Kanata is a suburb of Ottawa, about 300,000 people, and it's in the West End and the high-tech area of Ottawa. About 7 years ago, the United Church of Canada approached our church because we had a VIM program. We're on the VIM program, essentially Ventures in Mission, which was a mortgage from the United Church of Canada for our church. We were one of the few churches in Canada that was actually paying back our mortgage. Fewer and fewer were, and the United Church came along and said to us, we're going to give you a proposal. The proposal is we'll forgive your mortgage. So they said, but if you forgive your mortgage, we would like you to initiate and continue on with your outreach into the community. We had a number of outreach programs at the time, and they said, we would like you to take your mortgage money and invest it in your community. We want you to be relevant in your own community. We were already doing a lot of things in our community, so it was a good fit. So we accepted their challenge, and we had a discernment of a number of priorities that we should follow. And the first one was for mental health. And we established a program called Oasis in Kanata, which is to support people who care for those with mental health issues. Those are usually the spouse and the parents and so forth. We're the only program of its kind in all of Ottawa, which we specifically support those who care for people with mental illness. And that was about 6-7 years ago, and it's been running along very well. We bring in people from Hawkesbury to Pembroke. It's well established. It's well recognized, working with the Royal Ottawa Hospital and other institutions around. And it is not self-financing, but it was taking in a lot more money than we had originally budgeted. So the church said, we want to move on to our second priority, which is seniors. And they approached me about 2 years ago and said, David, we want to do something for seniors. Well, the question is, what do you do for seniors? And so we looked at those resources that were around in the community, and we said, like Oasis, we wanted to do something that would affect people on an individual basis. In other words, a close touch. We wanted to affect people directly, and we wanted to do something that no one else was doing. We didn't want another Me Too program, another Meals on Wheels or recreation. So we had a discernment. We did focus groups within our own church, with other retirement communities, with the hospitals and various people, geriatric daycare, et cetera, et cetera. And what we found out was that there was actually a book back then that listed 763 agencies, businesses, organizations in Ottawa designed to help seniors. That's a lot. But seniors still said, well, how do I find that? I can't find that right information easily. And what we found out talking to seniors was they wanted a one-on-one contact with somebody. They wanted to talk to somebody about their issues, and they wanted somebody to help them navigate into that system. So we wanted to be able to help seniors find the right information in a timely manner and would actually work. And so looking around, we saw a number of situations out there where they called coaching, career coaching, personal coaching, you know. And we said, we should develop a seniors coaching program that would be free, one-on-one, on a confidential basis. It would deal with a whole range of issues, because when we found out that seniors are individuals, everybody going through that journey of their life from basically 65 to whenever they go to their final home, they are in a different stage, phase. They have different capabilities, different family situations, different finance. Everybody's got a unique problem. And what they really needed was somebody to sit down and assess that problem, find the right information, navigate them through the system, and make sure that their needs were met. And so that's why we developed this coaching program we call we call prime time in Kanata. And so we said, well, how do we get that? How do we get there? And all churches have a kind of burnout. You go through the UCW and all that sort of thing. We didn't want to burden people with more. And we said, well, where do we get, quote, free labor from that's qualified to coach seniors? And we know that there are 4 educational institutions in Ottawa that grant degrees in social work. And they all require work terms, work placements, internships. And so we said, well, a good place of volunteers or people to help seniors navigate through the systems, various systems, would be to use those people who require work terms as part of their degree for social work, and talk to them. And they said, well, that's a really good idea, but what you need to do is we'll sign a contract with you, but we have to have somebody that we can be assured can evaluate, can mentor, can supervise, and provide a program that's really going to be meaningful to our students. We don't want to turn over our students for free labor unless they get something out of it, and we can be assured of that. So it worked out that we had to hire somebody who had a master's degree in social work. So that person runs our program. And so to begin with, the program has basically 3 elements to it. The first element is that we had to provide a home, an infrastructure to run this program. And that meant that when we start collecting information from seniors or from anybody that is confidential, personal, you know what their finances are, or their legal problems, if they got legal issues, or their health problems. There are laws in Canada that say that we have to save and protect and secure that information. And it's called PAPIA is the act, okay? And so we had to put in systems, build a home with computers and networks and security, that when we collected that information, that it would be held secure and be managed appropriately for people. So we had to provide that home. The second one was we had to get students or volunteers, and the way we did that was we hired a manager, and we went to the universities, and we also have volunteers, people who are retired as being social workers or occupational therapists or psychologists and that sort of thing. So we have a mix of students and volunteers. And then we had to have partners out in the community who would direct their own clients to us. So we've made arrangements with the CCRD, or what's called West Carleton Community Resource Center, the outpatient placements for the hospitals here, seniors' homes, various medical clinics. We touch everybody in the community that has a senior that needs assistance and help. And in order to get this all done, we raised last year $75,000 to get this started. 20,000 of which came from the United Church of Canada, from the Seeds of Hope program. We got money from the federal government. We got it from the Ottawa Community Foundation, and we got it from our own church. So the church, we have to fund this on an ongoing basis. So our church puts up $15,000 a year for that, and I raised the money for all the computers and all that sort of thing. And so we have a committee that is outreach committee, because we've got Oasis, we've got Refugee, we've got the food bank, we've got any number of outreach things, of which Prime Time is one of them. And I report to that outreach committee, which reports to council. And my budget goes in as part of that every year. But the key to this was getting enough people to be the counselors, and tapping people in the church that could advise me on the right processes and procedures. For example, I've got somebody who is the director of nursing for the Queensway Carleton Hospital, director of nursing for mental health and geriatrics, okay? And if I have a question on that, I go to him. We look for people. Sometimes we need investment advisors or counselors, because people are selling their house or they've run into financial problem. The vice president of Dominion Securities is one of the members of our congregation, and he advises me on the how to find the right investment advisors. We've got lawyers, we've got doctors, and so forth. And so I tapped the resources of the congregation on a short-term basis to set up our operating procedures and that sort of thing. So we got underway. We started accepting clients in June 1st, okay? We kicked off sort of January. The federal government said you can't spend any money until we give the okay, and so we were a bit behind, but we hired our manager, set up our computer systems, got our people trained, got our operations manual done, got our software tested, and we kicked it off in June. So that's where we're just going from there. So we've had a fairly good experience, and it's growing every day. So that's it.